Welcome to the worst nightmare of all. Reality.
Explore the lesser-known stories of our unknown world. Join the pursuit of the paranormal with Ash and Greg.
Afternoon, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Happy New Year. Happy
New Year.
Yeah,
Happy
it's
New
still
Year.
Bank Holiday Monday.
It is
2nd of
Bank Holiday
Jan.
Monday. Work tomorrow?
Awesome.
Yay.
Didn't work today?
Yay. Have you?
Yeah, just finished.
Unlucky. I wasn't.
Nice and quiet on Bank Holiday though, so it's
I've been playing Xbox today for the first time in forever.
I'd love
Call
to
of
have
Duty.
Hi, I'm ParaMike, by the way. I'm the guest this week. I'd love to have, I was going to say, I'd love to know what you're playing, but that's probably not what we're discussing here.
No, we can touch on it. Welcome along, Mike. Mike is joining us again, where we're going to talk paranormal things and get an update on what Mike's been doing, what the plans are, all that jazz. But yeah, getting back to Xbox quickly before we crack on. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, not the new one, because I don't play Xbox enough. I've still got the last one, so I had to spend about 3 hours installing it and updating it, and
You've got to ask yourself if it's worth it at that point, right?
that's why I can't buy the new one.
Yeah.
60 quid or something like that. I just think, nah, that's not worth it. Not worth it.
Madness, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't do it. And I'm 45. My hands and my eyes and my brain don't work as fast as like a 10-year-old boy in America that just blasts me to death online. It's no fun. It's no fun anymore. So I was just going to play campaign mode with my daughter. She said, I got a controller. So we got 2 controllers so she can do coin op on the campaign. That way we can I don't have to throw controllers around and stuff like that. But anyway, Happy New Year to you both. Happy New Year. So you've just finished work, Ash. Nice.
Yep.
I'm back tomorrow, and then that's it. It'll soon be Christmas again. On a positive note, the nights are getting shorter, so the days are getting longer now. We've passed the winter solstice on 21st of December. And
I was about to say equinox. It's not the equinox, is it? Or equinox?
Solstice.
Solstice.
Winter solstice. So, yeah, that's the 21st of December.
I was going to say, just to put my mad tinfoil hat on, have you heard the theory about the whole Christianity and the shortest days on the 21st of December, the sun then hangs for 3 days in sort of the same position, then starts to rise again on the 25th of December, and people are like, oh, it's like the rise of Jesus sort of thing, and it's like all related and all sorts of weirdness.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Just drop some knowledge on you.
Boom.
I know it sounds like Easter, but or whatever.
I was going to say that is Easter.
Dead for 3 days and then rise again. But apparently, like, it ties into like the winter solstice and the shortest day, and then the time that it starts to actually, the sun sits on the horizon for 3 days and then starts to rise again on the 25th, so to speak. Could be bollocks. It's just what I've heard.
Sounds like bollocks. I don't know.
Sounds like it.
It
But
does.
that's what we deal with, right? Being into the paranormal.
Yeah,
True.
absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. But the whole Easter thing, that does tie in, because I went into Tesco's and Sainsbury's on the 26th. Or not 26th, it must have been 27th. And Easter eggs are in there, so
That's madness.
it's crazy. I used to work in retail. We were talking about retail offline. And we used to get Easter eggs in the week before Christmas. I mean, what the fuck is that all about?
That's
If
disgusting.
that doesn't depress you, I don't know what does.
We should talk about the paranormal at some point, but for the time being, I remember being young. I remember being younger, and you'd maybe get like an inkling of like a Boxing Day sale on Boxing Day. Nowadays, they're advertising like the sale before Christmas has even happened, and it's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Show my
Yeah.
age there, but
It's like the Boxing Day sale starts like on Christmas Day online, so it's like not even a Boxing Day sale anymore.
yeah. And even like nowadays, they'll have like a Christmas Eve sale because they know that it's like too late to give it someone for Christmas. So they're like, well, we'll drop the price now.
Yeah. See, they're pushing stuff on Christmas Day saying you can get an online voucher. So for anybody that comes around unexpectedly, you can press the button and print out a voucher on Christmas Day.
Just quickly.
Nothing says I didn't think of you on Christmas Day like a printed out voucher from Amazon.
Just a quick Amazon one, yeah. Yes.
Anyway, so getting back to the paranormal.
Getting to the paranormal, I guess.
Getting to the paranormal. Yeah. How are things, Mike? How is ParaMike going? And I kind of asked that as a leading question because I spent New Year's Eve with Mike on a paranormal investigation.
I was going to say nothing insidious, just
in Swindon.
Yeah, ParaMike's flying, for want of a better term. I mean, I've been doing it for.
You're on Twitter now.
Yeah, begrudgingly, yeah. I was bullied into it by you and some other people. Great. Anyway, ParaMike's flying for something that I've only been doing for 8 months in terms of the actual YouTube channel. It's gone insane, like more than I could have ever imagined for the short period of time I've been doing it. Something like, and I don't want to talk about views and subscribers really because it means nothing, but something like 200 odd subscribers.
That's really good.
A ton of views, and it's just going from like strength to strength, and it's just like snowballing basically. So yeah, it's all gone mad, to be honest, and I'm still trying to comprehend it a little bit. And be like,
it doesn't get, you sort of don't get used to it because we look at our figures now when we're looking at our downloads and stuff, and just like what, like it's just like wow, like what's even happening that there's all these figures, who's listening? It's just it's crazy.
That's it. It's like I've put videos up and they'll get like maybe a couple of hundred views and something, and then all of a sudden one gets 1,500, and I'm like, what the hell happened? Unfortunately, I've not been ripped apart in the comments as well, because the content I make is probably not the most exciting, where it's sort of a genuine look at the paranormal, and as I've stated before, it can be really fucking boring when you sat around nothing happening. But fortunately, a lot of people seem to be on board with it. I've had 1 or 2 snarky comments, of which I've given an appropriate sarcastic reply back, but it's been great.
Don't worry about you. We all get them. We all get them. We get the reviews like that as well. They're the best ones.
I won't mention about who won the election, but
that's a good one. That is.
But no, carry on, God.
I was going to say, talking about views and stuff like that. So we get, and Ash said about the fact that you just don't get used to it. I get an email every day about charts, and it tells us where you are in the charts if you've charted anywhere. And the other day, it gives you an overview. So I was looking, and one of our episodes, well, actually not one of our episodes, just as an overall glance on the 27th, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13 different charts we were in at one point.
Wow. And
it's just like, what the fuck? I think we hit like number 4 in Portugal in the science on Apple Podcasts. It's like, what?
And maybe it's just indicative of like making good content, right? And making.
I hope so.
Yeah. It could be bots.
I think that's.
But yes,
it is about good content. Like you say, paranormal stuff, people make it for, a lot of people make it for clickbait. No doubt. I've been chucked off many a group for calling out people because what they post is absolute garbage. We've spoken to Danny Moss before multiple times about people doing stuff that's fake and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, like you just mentioned then, sometimes nothing even happens on a paranormal. And try as you might, if it ain't there, it ain't there. Yeah. And but people see the paranormal in everything. Some people are blindly believing everything. And there are certain groups, there are certain programs that will use that as a way to get clickbait.
Yeah, and not to sound super grandiose, but I think I've got maybe a little bit of a different perspective where I've not been doing this for that long in the grand scheme of things. So I definitely feel like a bit of an outsider coming in and being like, well, I question a lot of things anyway, but questioning a lot of the things that people do. And you're absolutely right. People who see a dust orb or hear a floorboard creak or hear some water go through some pipes, and they'll go, "Oh my God, it's paranormal." And it's like, no, it's a house settling. It's architecture.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But people
I mean,
don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that.
No,
Certain
they don't
people
at
don't
all.
want to hear it.
No, absolutely. But then, fine. Like if they, I've said this before. Like the issue is people's belief is paramount, and irrespective of what is true or what is false, and science could come out and categorically prove that. Let's take ghosts. Science could come out and categorically prove that ghosts don't exist. There would still people. There would still be people out there who go, "Well, I believe they do, so therefore they do," and I've seen one, so they must be real. And that's the issue. It's pseudoscience. It's entirely belief based, and because of that, you can never. No one's ever wrong about it, right?
Correct.
Sorry to dump on that on a paranormal podcast, but
no, it's true. That's what we're here to discuss. So I was walking the dogs this morning. So I'm listening to podcasts because I took them for an hour and a half, and my little pug, she only got tiny little legs. She must have been fucked when we got home. Anyway, so I listened to the podcast and I was thinking, so we talk about UFOs a lot, and we're on the roundtables for these UFOs, and there's governments, and we've talked about on our roundtables about the fact that there seems to be no public government body for the paranormal, because everybody has an experience in their house a lot of the time, or in a trauma-based environment like an asylum or something like that. But what I was thinking was, how is it that is the case when so many people seem to have some kind of experience?
it's very odd, isn't it? And I think, I mean, there's stuff that we at ParaMike, there's stuff that I at ParaMike, I guess, have captured or witnessed, and I still can't say it's paranormal because I'm no scientist and I don't know every factor in the equation. So I could be very wrong by saying or thinking like, "Oh, that's definitely paranormal," just because I don't understand it enough. And partly this is my skeptical brain as well. We had a door slam on us at a place in Swindon where I'm from called Health Hydro. Now this door slammed on us. One of the guys we were with heard it through his headphones. It was that loud. Whipped him off and went, "What the fuck was that?" Because we were doing like a double Estes method. And we tested it, and there was no wind in the room to cause it to slam. We'd closed the door before starting the experiment, so it had opened and then slammed back on itself. We went out in the hall. There was no wind. We tried to replicate the sound, and the only way we could replicate it was by slamming the door from the inside and holding it shut, because it didn't have a latch on it, so it would bounce out of the frame and make a reverberation sound. And after all that we can't explain it, and we tested it rigorously, I'm still like, it's too good to be true. There's something I'm missing. And I'm just like, for all intents and purposes, that could have been like the most amazing paranormal thing that's ever going to happen in my life. But due to me being still pretty skeptical and my brain going, "No, it couldn't be," I still can't accept it. Or I'm like, there must be something I'm missing in this equation, right?
Yeah, and I think that's important. Same with when we're discussing UFO, cryptid things, and anything around something that is quite a personal experience. Because if you or somebody else hear it, obviously, if somebody else witnesses it, that adds not credibility as such, but that kind of adds to the authenticity of the experience. And then if you've got it captured on something else, again, that's a third or fourth, fifth. And if you can capture on different types of media, again, that sort of backs up. And whilst you can never definitively say is something paranormal, because you could rule out everything, and you just hadn't thought about this particular thing.
Exactly.
As long as people follow those steps and try and remove the normal and go, you know what, that door, there could have been a draft. Okay, let's just check all the draft now. as long as everybody does that and has some kind of common sense before they post content. And I think that's the same with UFO stuff. People quick to go, there's something in the sky. I can't identify it. Obviously, I may see a UFO regardless, but it could be something completely normal. And like I know you do, Ash. You not play down stuff, but you're not as keen. Not keen. You're not as excited about new stuff like I am. I go, there's like, and then you go, that's bullshit. And then you'll explain to me why it is, and you go, actually, yeah, I see that now. And you've got the rational side of you that goes, right, it could be this, it can't be this, it can be this, it can't be this. Or when me and Ash first started chatting and all that, I was doing delivery driving. So this was before the podcast, I think, just before. And I messaged him and said, I can see something. I've stopped the van. I'm recording it. And Ash was like, whereabouts was it? And so I told him where I was. And he's going, MPAS is up, which is the National Police Air Service. I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that. Whereas some people don't do due diligence, which is very important. And they will go, that door slamming, that was a ghost. They'll put it up on not on a podcast, on a Facebook post on some random paranormal or unexplained page, and you'll get millions of people going, literally millions of people nowadays going, wow, that's the best thing I've ever seen. Best thing I've ever seen. There's definitely, I can feel spirits. There's definitely 3 people in that room with you. So how the fuck do you know that? How the hell do you know that person didn't just slam a door?
Yeah,
but
I agree.
There's people like Ben and Lane. Sorry, I'm going off on one. There's a couple called Ben and Laney. I don't know if you're Laney and Ben. I don't know if you've heard of them, Ash.
Is that the one that the YouTuber? It's just like, if this was real, it would literally be the most famous haunted house ever because of the amount of stuff that happens. That always videoing. Yeah, that bullshit.
Yeah, like glasses being thrown out of their hands, caught on. But people won't do due diligence. And I think that is the thing that's missing, certainly in the paranormal field. And there are people that I can go to and I could see stuff that they put out and go, actually, I believe what you're putting out because I know that you do due diligence. So like you, Mike, because I've been out on a couple of investigations with you, which we'll come on to. Danny Moss, for example, I know him and his guys on Haunted Hunts and My Haunted Hotel. They do due diligence and they check stuff. He reviews footage, all that kind of stuff before they put it out to the public. Whereas some people don't.
I think there's a big element as well. Like, obviously, there's a lot of fake stuff in, I guess, the paranormal community because, again, pseudoscience, no one can prove it either way. But even if it's not necessarily fake, there's a lot of people who will try and mislead to an extent, and try and claim that something may be paranormal when it's evidently not. You said about due diligence and UFOs and stuff. Me and Patsy were driving home recently, and we thought we saw a UFO in the sky. So immediately I got on the phone to my boy Ash and was like, Ash, UFO sighted. And the same thing, come back and go, could it have been this plane? And I was like, you're probably right, it's probably that plane. But it moved very weirdly, that it sort of moved from left to right, stalled, or seemingly stalled in the sky, and then moved back from right to left and did some weird stuff with lights and stuff. But again, like, due diligence, I'm no expert on that side of things anyway, so I'm not going to go, fucking hell, it's a UFO. So that's why I was like, Ash, you're the guy who knows about this sort of thing. What do you reckon? And immediately, because you've done it for so long or whatever, you're like, yeah, it's play, and you know where to look, right, for plausible explanations.
And I will also say, like, I always, with any investigation that I do, or any sort of, if people come to me for answers or with questions, so I always put, I believe that is this. Like, well, I mean, sometimes you can be like 100% sure it's like, yeah, it says or things like this, but I will just say, I believe it is more likely to be this, or this is the most likely explanation. I rarely say it's 100% this,
Yeah.
because there is always going to be that little chance that it wasn't the plane or it wasn't the Empire's helicopter or whatever. So you always got to leave. And I always say with investigation, like, I believe it to be this. If any more information comes to light, any more witnesses, any more information we can get from official sources or airport, radar, whatever, then we'll reopen it and have another look, because we'll always leave it in, like that. So we believe it's this. We've closed the case for now. Any more information, we'll have another look, happily, because that's just part of doing it. And we always put out, so most of our, obviously, like UFO stuff, 99% of the stuff can be identified. So we'll do a case report, and it'd be a big long case report, 10 dozen pages sometimes, and it'd be, yeah, it was this. But you got to put them out, because if everything you put out was unidentified or no explanation, then you got to start asking questions like, why are they never identifying anything?
Yeah.
And most of our reports are, we identified it as this, as this, as this. So when we do get the couple that we can't identify, we know, like, people would say, like, we do believe that you can't identify it because usually you do identify it. So it's like, adds a bit of, like, data due diligence, a bit of realness to it, where you're not going to just start saying it's that just for the sake of it.
You're right as well, because if you don't do that, it very quickly becomes the most haunted effect, right? Where they get mass amounts of activity. I don't like using the term evidence, because evidence of what? Activity in places. And it's like, well, this isn't, we all know now, we were obviously a bit more naive back in the early 2000s, but we all know now that it's fucking bollocks. Like, you can have nights where you sit there and absolutely nothing happens, absolutely nothing, and you might as well be talking to thin air or talking to the walls. And that's just the nature of actual ghost hunting or actual paranormal investigations. Like, and you're right, it's going back to Danny Moss as well. He will deliberately put out episodes where nothing happens to show the reality of paranormal investigations, and he's got moments in his series where something will happen, and initially he'll be like, this could be paranormal, but if it's not, or if he believes it not to be, he'll come back and go, we then discovered it was someone's phone or something, you know. And again, it's that integrity that I think a lot of people who just want views, or a lot of people who just want fame, infamy, or whatever, don't have, and they know because it's belief based and it's largely unprovable. You can put anything out there and go, hey, look what I've got.
So part of due diligence that we've done, even just on the podcast, and obviously we're all audio only, but obviously we can see when we do the recordings, we can see. We mentioned it before that you can see in people's faces whether or not they believe that their version of what they're saying is the truth. And that's happened many times, that the story's so outlandish, but you looking at them in the eyes, and there is a strained look about them. And they talk about all the dark stuff. But then we've had somebody who has been on, and they sent me a photograph. And part of due diligence is that we will look into stuff that people send us. Me and Ash will discuss it between ourselves, and we'll go, nah, it sounds like bullshit or whatever, because we do get some very weird people emailing us, asking us to get rid of demons in their house, and they're in America and all this. It's like,
send them to me, mate.
We're a little bit out of our range there. Or sending us 1 second long video clips of them in front of an alien and all sorts. Anyway,
just quickly to interject for you, that 1 second video clip, does that not look like one of those fucking inflatable aliens you'd get from Argos in the 90s or what?
I don't know. That is just it was it's just a very weird communication with that guy. Very odd, but it all generates content now and again where we needed it to. So it was something that we were able to discuss. We'd done a little short on it saying, we've been sent this is what we think about it. And
that's unfortunate.
We're open to discuss everything.
That's the unfortunate part of it, right? Because when I first started the channel, I was like, I want it to be as authentic as possible, quote unquote. And then I very quickly realized that the channel was never going to grow unless I word my titles in a certain way and make my thumbnails in a certain way. And it kind of pains me a little bit, but then I'm like, you got to play the game a little bit, right? So, and as I say, generally speaking, people seem to like the actual content of the videos anyway, rather than being like, this isn't fucking horrifying or whatever.
Yeah.
And to some
It's,
people, it may be
it's-
horrifying. Like me and you, Greg, we're pretty hardened whenever we go on an investigation, and not a lot face us.
I wasn't the other night.
You fucking weren't. You were shitting your pants. But to certain other people who haven't done this and don't do this regularly, or are just in some way disposed, whatever that word is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, disproposed.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So if they're that way inclined, they could find a cat ball going off absolutely terrifying, because it's definitely a ghost to them. It's probably not.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
let's talk about. Yeah, Karen Ash.
Before we go into talking about your New Year's Eve jaunt.
We said the same word there.
Did we? Oh, weird words even. So anyway,
That's 2 years chatting for hours and hours a week to each other.
finish each other's
Yeah.
sandwiches.
So, yeah. Oh, sorry, I wasn't
Nice
very quick
reference.
Yeah. So other point to add when you talk about sort of, I'm pretty skeptical. Like the video that we recorded in my basement, where just about to finish the recording, and something hits the wall literally 3 feet away from us.
Yeah.
And we know there's nobody else down there. But if I'm watching that video, I don't know that there's nobody else down there. Even though there's 2 of us there, we had it on video, you can hear it on the audio. There's no evidence that was something, because there could have been someone down there that's planted to make a noise or whatever. So it's always a tricky one, where even though you have numbers sort of bits of evidence, I saw activity, you're still
got
not going
evidence,
to be able
fine.
to sort of justify it, because there could have been someone there.
But
It's
you're right.
difficult.
Like,
Yeah.
me and
It's
Patsy
difficult.
were discussing this earlier this evening, that like we're the worst, because anything we see, we're like, that seems like bollocks. And because we're not there, it will do, right? Unless you're actually there and you can categorically be like, XYZ happened, like you have to kind of rule it out, because anecdotal evidence isn't really evidence. And also you're right about like personal experience, and you're just going off the trust of what the person's telling you is actually true at that point, right? Anyway, let's talk about the ParaMike's New Year's Eve.
Yes, I've been looking forward to hearing. I want to hear about Greg getting shit scared. So yeah, this will be
over
fun.
nothing, man. Like
Nothing. Well,
an empty
So-
room.
yeah. So just to set the scene, it's New Year's Eve. We've got the opportunity to investigate a property that
Is related to someone in my fiance's family. Let's say that.
and has provided accounts of experiences from people that have been in there.
Yeah.
And so it was a property that was known to have experienced some kind of activity in there, rather than just going into a house because we had an opportunity to. So it was a known sort of haunted location, for want of a better phrase. Something had happened, or multiple things have happened there in the past. So that was a good opportunity for us. We had a one-off opportunity to do it due to various reasons. So like it worked out that New Year's Eve was the night that we could go there and investigate.
Yeah, like the one night we can investigate, and no one's ever going to investigate it again, I don't think. Unless...
So yeah, we and so it's a 3-story end of terrace house. To say the layout in it was creepy. Anyway, so you go up one side, you've got the stairs, and then to get to the next floor up, you have to go through the living room, and then up another set of stairs the other side of the house. It's a very, very strange layout. There's like weird doors, dark corridors.
The stairs in particular, where they're just stair sets in the middle of the house with no windows. Like,
yes, it's quite claustrophobic and steep.
Yeah, Greg immediately was like, "This looks like something out of a horror movie," and I was like,
It was the whole place. I could see in like The Conjuring or something like that. It was just the layout of the property. Nice property. Do you mean it would be a lovely 3-story house? But the layout of it lends itself to the fact that it just seemed strange anyway. And it was cold and wet outside, so there was a lot of rain. Well, it was cold, but then there was times where it wasn't cold.
Yeah.
So
there was a point at one point in the evening where you, Patsy, and the guest that was with us were all going, "Oh, I'm freezing, bloody hell!" And I've taken my hoodie off because I'm literally sweating.
Yeah,
like
it's literally roasting. I'm there freezing in the same room.
That could just be because I'm well insulated, but like
I'm fairly well insulated as well.
You've got nothing on me after I saw that picture of me and you together, mate. I'll tell you.
I did look quite slim, actually.
Makes all the. Do you want photos of me everywhere in future? To be like,
yeah. so we walked round at the start just to get a feel of the place, and instantly some of the rooms were a bit. One of them was particularly I just didn't like the feel of, but.
Just to interject as well, the room that Greg didn't like the feel of, we've had testimony from Patsy's parents that they had an experience while in that room, and a lot of the activity seemed to centre, from everyone's experience we've been told, in that room on the landing just outside and in the living room next to it, and that's very relevant for what we'll say later on in this as well.
Cool. So we have a wander around and just get the lay of the land, as it were, and then sort of pop back downstairs, make a cup of tea, whatnot, get ready to go, get the equipment out, and decide what we're going to use. And I purchased some bits off Amazon, some kids' toys, like Etch-a-Sketch type magnetic drawing things that you can wipe off just by swiping, and it takes off the image, and you can put shapes on there. So we left some shapes on there just to see if it moved. We took a Ouija board with us, which, due to the group feeling, we didn't use, which is absolutely fine. And it's one of those experiments that people either want to be involved in or not. And because the majority of the group that were there that night didn't want to, that's absolutely cool. So what we did was we actually put the Ouija board with the planchette, the hole in the planchette over the letter T, just in the corner of a room, and thought, we'll leave it there. If anything happens and it moves, that's cool. We'll know something's happened, but we weren't actively invoking any kind of response or expecting any kind of response.
I was just going to talk for the sake of talking, to be honest, Greg, because you've been going on, but I don't actually know what I was going to say, so you carry on.
I can talk for hours.
Yeah, you're doing good, mate. I can't remember a lot of it, so.
So we were having a wander around, and so, as Mike said, there's a particular bedroom, particular bit of landing, which, about 3 or 4 foot wide, at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
At these steep stairs in this dark corridor with no lights. There was lights, but no external light as such, or windows on the stairs. So we concentrated our efforts to begin with in that area, because we thought, you know what, that's where people have experienced most things. We have only got tonight to do the experiments. Let's just go with that. It made sense. So we set up cat balls, which we'll come on to, and all part of due diligence that we did about cat balls, and all the experiments we did that night. We ensured that we were trying to remove any false positives from the equation. So we've got the cat balls all set up, and we've got cat balls set up in one room. We've got cat balls on the landing. We've got some REM pod boxes on the top of the landing as well.
Some hokey homemade REM pods, yeah.
Check out pursuitoftheparanormal.co.uk articles under paranormal, which Mike has kindly written for us, that explains how to build one. So I actually got to see one in use.
You were way more impressed than I expected. I thought you were going to be like,
impressive.
What the fuck's that?
No, I was very impressed.
There was also a music box at the top of the stairs, which went off quite a lot. But to be fair, I think that was more it picking up us moving, because not to get too technical, but the infrared sensor in the music box basically goes off due to body or heat. So anytime hot people in a cold house are walking around, it's going to set it off.
So again, we were aware of the limitations of the equipment we were using. we got cameras all set up everywhere. Got voice recorders. We got K2 meters. We got an Alice box, which we used at Minster level when me and Mike were at Minster level. So it detects changes in the environment and then spits out words. Obviously, it's limited by the number of words that are already in there, but we'll come on to that in a second.
We did an S method at one point as well, so we had a spirit box, headphones, etc.
We were doing the Estes method, where Mike was in one room being filmed.
The hell room that Greg didn't want to go in.
The hell room, I did not like it. And when you heard some of the words coming out of this Alice box, there's no fucking wonder I was not going in there. Devil was in there. There was all manner of weird shit coming out of that box.
I wasn't privy to it because I was the one with the headphones in. When I reviewed the footage, I've literally paused it and gone, "What the fuck?" to Patsy. She's like, "Yeah."
So me and Patsy are in the living room asking the questions. So we're in two separate rooms. So we're doing like this almost remote Estes method, which is cool. So we're doing that. It was witnessed on camera when we were talking. Certain words were, orbs or objects or whatever anomalies. I haven't seen the footage yet. We're going across Mike, 3 of them in total. The cat balls were lighting up when we were asking certain questions. So,
one of the funniest parts about this, sorry to interject, is
you carry on.
The minute we set up equipment. So we've, as Greg said, we worked out what we were going to do. Went upstairs, put some cat balls down, put the music books down as well. Patsy wanted to do a prayer because, as I say, her family's had experiences in this place, and she was like, just to be safe, she wants to do a prayer. Cool, whatever. And so we've set the equipment up, the cat balls start going off and the music box going off, and she's like, fucking hell, let me get my prayer in. And she's like panicking, she's not done her prayer before it's like activities starting to happen.
It was. But fair enough about the prayer as well. We'll come on to about prayers in a bit. But so talk about due diligence before we explain what kind of things happened. So cat balls going off. So cat balls going off in one of the rooms, which we weren't in. There was nobody in that room.
Let's just call it the hell room from now on.
The hell room. Yeah, that makes it sound even more scary than I found it.
Brutal, doesn't it? Yeah.
So cat balls were going off, caught on camera, cat ball going off. So what we decided to do was move the cat balls and swap them over to see if we were getting just a faulty cat ball. 2 of the cat balls, I'd literally opened up the packet when we got into the house. So they'd never been used before. I only got them that day. That was just to clarify. It was carpeted. The rooms were carpeted. So again, still could be deviations where the cat ball's just on that little bit and it's just rocking enough or moving. So we were starting to ask questions. Cat ball in the middle of the landing. We were asking questions and the cat ball was responding quite positively to a lot of the questions we're asking.
Yeah.
So far, especially we used the Alice box to give us like a word answer to some of the questions we're asking.
Yeah, so for context, we didn't really know any of the history about this place. We knew there's rumours and stuff. Excuse me. There's rumours and stuff, but we don't know for certain. So I said to Patsy, get the Alice box on, see if anything comes through to give us like some leads to go off. At one point, the word clairvoyant came through, which Greg was like, what the fuck? And I'm rightly or wrongly, I'm potentially a medium. So clairvoyant came through and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to close my eyes, see if I can tap into the house or whatever and see if I can come up with anything.
Yeah.
Now there's a cat ball on the landing that's gone off a little bit, but then been dormant for a good 5 or 10 minutes, not gone off at all. I close my eyes, as I say, and start to get like a mental image of a guy who's probably about 24, 25, short brown hair. This is going to sound like bollocks, by the way, Greg, but I will clarify this. The name Derek came through in my head. Derek's a name that comes through for me all the time, so I immediately went, no, it's not that. And then the name Duncan came through. So, 24-year-old dude, short brown hair, Duncan, potentially committed suicide in the hell room by hanging. And I start saying, like, if there's a gentleman, start basically verbalizing it and asking if there's a gentleman there, blah, 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 blah. And as I finish saying it, the cat ball at the top of the stairs that's not gone off for 5 or 10 minutes goes off. Almost like, I guess, in affirmation. And Greg just turns around and goes, what the fuck? Which is the best moment for me. But yeah, and then after I said that, the Alice box spits out and Betty. So then we start asking questions around a woman called Betty. And again, it seems like the cat ball is responding to us when I say, is Betty here? And it goes off again. It's like, well, hang on a minute. And again, there's no proof of this. This could be entirely my subconscious, but it's one of those weird things that I've picked up on because I'm a medium. That's in inverted commas. And then it's led to stuff going off. And again, it comes back to how much of a coincidence is a coincidence or synchronicity and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm. So at this point, it's going off quite a lot in response to questions we're asking. So we go, okay, let's move the cat ball, just in case it's just randomly going off. Because it could be. And like Mo said, how many times is a coincidence? But
a dodgy cat ball, or if it's just in a weird position, as Greg said, with the carpet.
Yeah. So we're just like, okay, we'll swap the cat balls over. Move that cat ball somewhere else. It doesn't go off
at all
in the other room at all. And we swap cat balls round. The cat ball that's back in place starts going off. So we're kind of like trying to swap out things to either prove that the cat ball is faulty or oversensitive, or that the cat ball there is something there with the cat ball. And we take the cat ball later on, cat balls. So I think we have 3 or 4.
4, I believe.
Took them up to the top floor, and they didn't go off at all.
Yeah, we did quite a long investigation on the first floor. Second floor, if you're in America.
I was just about to say the same thing.
It cracked me up when you said it before. First floor, we set up in the place that we'd heard that there had been activity from things, got a lot of stuff. Went downstairs for a break, and I said, okay, let's try the top floor, because there'd been stories about activity up there, but only from one person who lived in the house, and we couldn't verify it all. We got fuck all on the top floor.
Nothing.
Absolutely
nothing at all.
The cat falls did not go off once. Nothing like that. And then after, I guess it was probably about 20 minutes, half an hour, I was like, let's go back downstairs to the first floor. Immediately set the cat balls up again. They start going off again. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it definitely seemed like it was that floor where people had previously had experiences that we knew of.
Yeah. We, so some of the questions we're asking, and the Alice box was spitting out words. One of them, it talked about military.
Army.
And weirdly, one of the books that we used to prop open the hell room door was about the Falklands War. In the room we were sat in the main living room, there was a magazine sort of up against some like Banksy print artwork thing. And that was about Vietnam, and it had a soldier on the front. So there was, whether that's just a coincidence again, but it just seemed quite weird that you'd got army and there was at least two books where it's specifically around military war.
And for more context, this is a council house that's going back to the council today, so there was nothing in it. Like we were sat on the floor all night because there's no furniture or anything. Only like these army books and those prints and some like football magazines or something upstairs.
Yeah, coaching magazines from like 1980 or something like that. It was a proper step back in time at one point. So due diligence, again, sorry to use that term, but we were swapping stuff around. We were asking different questions. We were getting names coming through in the Alice box. Lots of names coming through. A lot of names.
And so me and Patsy have used the Alice box a ton on different investigations. The only place we've had that many names before is the Swindon Community Centre, which was a hospital and is now a nursery and has a link to children. And we believe that the land that this house is built on also has a link to children in some way, shape or form. Again, we can't corroborate that, or we can't say that for certain in any way, shape or form, but that's just sort of local rumour. So it is interesting that there was that connection as well, because that's the second time I've only ever seen it kick out that many names.
So we've got loads of video footage. There was one camera just looking specifically at the hallway and the hell bedroom the whole time we were there investigating. So every time the balls were going off, it will be picked up. Mm-hmm. At certain points, it was freezing cold in the rooms. Like, my knees were really cold. And if you've ever ridden a motorbike, I don't know if you guys have, but I used to ride a motorbike without a fairing, so like a trials kind of motocross bike that I used to drive to my mate's house. I used to go about 30 miles down a dual carriageway. My knees used to get really cold in the winter, obviously, because they were just being pelted by air. It was that kind of feeling. The coldness, it was almost like a stiffening cold. I was freezing at one point. Mike come in and just stripped. We didn't strip off, just to clarify. It wasn't that kind of party.
That's how the
New Year's Eve party.
That's how the New Year's Eve ParaMike bash goes.
But one thing to note is we almost discounted every single bang knock we heard because New Year's Eve fireworks going off all over the place. So
there was some brilliant moments where we'd hear a massive bang and go, all sort of look at each other and go, what? Before we went, oh yeah, fireworks.
Yeah. So that was one thing we were very keen to rule out quickly, was that any bang we hear, chances are it's a firework going off.
Yeah. So let's talk about the S method. You
crack on then.
So, okay. You've probably got a better idea than me because I was the one doing the S method.
I can't remember.
I don't think there was many actual answers from the spirit box to, like, relevant answers to your questions.
No.
As such, it was more the Alice box's answers and what I kind of picked up.
So there was one bit. Yeah, go on. Sorry, I will tell you what happens at the end.
Yeah. So the first thing that happens with the Alice box, and you remember what I said about name Derek came to me and I went, I get Derek all the time. No, it's try again, Duncan. First thing with the Alice box, Patsy goes, what's your name? Or something like that. Immediately, Derek comes through the Alice box. And again, Greg looks and goes, what the fuck? Because it's when the Alice box spits out random words and it could be a coincidence, but for you to say, what's your name? And we've said this numerous times, got nothing. And then it immediately goes, Derek. They were just like, what the fuck? And again, I don't know this because I'm in the other room. I'm in the hell room with the headphones in. I know what you're going to say, I believe, Greg, so I'll let you take the floor.
No, you crack on.
Oh, no?
Don't let me steal your thunder.
Okay, so I'm in... it's quite apt we've called it the hell room, isn't it? I didn't even make that connection. So I'm in the hell room and we had a bunch of names come through and it didn't seem to match up or anything. Neither Greg or Patsy says, can you tell us who's in the room with Mike and guest? And the name Devil comes through. and Greg and Patsy are like, perhaps not. And then weirdly from there, we had a load of like biblical religious sort of things come through.
Yeah.
Which there was a shrine to Mother Teresa upstairs.
Very weird.
Yeah.
Very weird location for it.
Yeah. And then I started...
in a cupboard on a shelf. Just to clarify, there's a photo of Mother Teresa and a little Jesus thing, and then it said, I can't remember what the words were. It's, I can't remember, but there was like this little biblical phrase on there. It was just look in there, and it's like, what the hell? Like an airing cupboard.
And then I think the final relevant bit was I was in the hell room. And for some reason, earlier on, I'd picked up with Duncan, Derek, whoever he was, that he'd been hung. And then all of a sudden, I start to feel like my hands have been bound behind me. My legs have been bound at the ankles. And the hanging wasn't a suicide as such. It was a forcible hanging, maybe like a gallows, or I don't want to use the term murder, maybe like a forcible
punishment
hanging.
type thing.
Yeah, exactly. And as I'm starting to feel this, I'm getting a bit freaked out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to come out in a minute. And then the Alice box spits out the name Michael. And then I'm immediately like, yeah, guys, I'm coming out. And
Wow.
you can hear.
But Mike didn't hear that bit.
No.
So we were there. He comes back through, and me and Patsy are just like, it just said your name literally the second you said, I'm done in here. It was very weird.
Yeah.
Very weird. So, yeah, that was it. Just a few things were just like too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence.
It's one of those things. So the Alice box in our use, it either seems like it's throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, or sometimes we've had it where it said very, very relevant stuff. A lot of the time, like we took it on an investigation previously and it said batteries empty just before the batteries died in it. And I was like, you fucking what? Like, so yeah, it seems like it in itself is quite inconsistent, but the fact that you asked for a name, you got a name, it said Michael, as I got freaked out when I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah.
And that was the thing we tried to do as part of our questioning, because you could just say who's in the room with us and get a name. But what we tried to do was like, can you tell us how many people are in the room? Can you trying to get a specific answer rather than an open question, just saying, "Oh, what? Like, who are you?" Because if you can get a specific response, then it's less likely to be just a spewed out word from an algorithm.
Like Abby at Cannock Chase.
Yeah, again, exactly the same as the Abbey at Cannock Chase. That was just, it couldn't have been any more of a perfect name to come out at that specific moment, which rules out coincidence. It's got to rule out coincidence. And then Patsy started reading passage from the Bible. And weirdly, it was one that I don't know much about the Bible at all. But the passage she read out was one that I did know, and where it talks about walking through the valley of the shadows of death.
It's the Lord's Prayer, right?
I don't know, is it?
Is it?
Don't
Yes.
know.
Sorry to derail you, carry on.
No, that's right. But that is that sentence. So now I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I don't know why, but I love that phrase. And she was talking, and the cat balls were going off, and all sorts. And again, we're swapping the cat balls over. We're trying to rule out anything.
And so the context of it was, we believe that the land was used for like for want of a better term, a baby farm, where people in Victorian times who couldn't afford their children would send them off to this place, which I believe Patsy's mum seems to think it was a monastery. Send them off to this place, and they would basically then take money from the mother to look after them, sort of thing. And obviously some insidious things can happen in these sort of places where chances are they would kill the child and just take the money, so therefore they don't have to actually look after the child and they just keep getting paid. The parents are none the wiser. The Alice box spit out, Beatrice is a name that came to me as well in my head, which Beatrice Betty, which was something that came back again. And then Pay and Son came through the Alice box. And as they did, I wasn't privy to this because I was sat at the far end of the living room. As those two words come through, a cat ball in the hell room goes off again, like randomly, that's not gone off for quite a period of time. And it's just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, again, coincidences that may be too coincidental.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely interesting, and it was a shame that we won't have an opportunity to go back there. We only had a limited amount of hours there as well. So that's why we concentrated all our efforts and time in the living room and the hallway, asking as many questions as we could, using as many bits of equipment as we could, just to try and rule out and get as much information, if we were going to get as much. And hence why we swapped over the cat balls a lot of the time, just to make sure we weren't getting these false positives. Everything we could. Yeah.
So which point were you shitting yourself?
That fucking hell room, mate. They were like, "Where are you going? Go and sit in there on your own." No thanks. I don't know why. I've sat in a room in Oxford Prison in a pitch black with this box in there that held some artifact of some mass murderer, and called out weird shit in that room. I'm fine with that. I've been to mills and places, water mills and stuff that I've been investigated multiple times, sat on my own in rooms, no problem with that. That room, I just did not like the feel of it. I don't know why. It just felt weird. I didn't like it.
And again, like on the walk round, the minute you walked in there, you were like, not sure about this.
Like when somebody walks over your grave, that feeling when your body sort of goes, whoa. I got that every time I went in there. I was just like, oh, fucking hell. So I was just like, no, I think I will stay in the living room. Thank you.
You look pretty relaxed, to be fair. So
it was nice.
Let down,
yeah. Hat on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was. We tried everything we could to ensure that when answers were given or responses were given, that we followed up on those, that we would ask questions specifically, that would try and get a response from the boxes, that were the cat balls. The cat balls were particularly good for us that night. They seemed to provide good responses to specific
so
questions.
When you're asking sort of questions with the cat balls and saying they're responding, so like, is it like yes or no questions, or like do you sort of ask more general?
Yeah. Or say if it's Betty or Beatrice in the hallway, can you set the cat balls and make them light up?
Right.
And then like light up if it's a yes, don't light up if it's no, that kind of thing. So
right, okay.
And then at one point it was going off loads, so that's why we thought, okay, at that point, if it's going off loads, even if we're asking questions, let's change it just in case it's on that sweet spot on a bit of carpet or something. Although it had been there, working and non-working for a long time, but we removed that just in case something was interfering with it that was non-paranormal.
And this was the thing, it was on the landing, which was outside of the room where we were. We were all sat down or led down in Greg's case.
My body doesn't bend too well to sit down nowadays.
Oh, bless you. It hadn't gone off for 5 to 10 minutes, and then the minute we start questioning about what's popped into my head, that's when it goes off again. And it's not like any of us are stomping around and stuff. And cat balls can be quite inconsistent in the sense that you could stamp right next to them and they can not go off, or they'll just seemingly go off by themselves. So that for me, I know cat balls are a massive pseudoscience and you can't really trust them. But that for me was a very weird moment where it was like, it's not moved for 10 minutes. The minute the line of questioning goes into something maybe relevant, because I've done my Derek Cora impression or something and gone, oh, this is what I'm getting.
One thing we also did do when Mike was sat there going, I think I'm getting this, like I've got a name in my head. We made sure we got that out of his head before the Alice box went off. Because like we discussed on the night, again, and it's stuff that you see on the TV programs, that this name would come up and then like the medium, sort of Derek Acora type, would go, oh, that's the name I had in my head. And you go, okay, it might have been, but if you'd have said it before the name come out, I'd probably more opportunity to believe what you're saying, or be not to believe what you're saying, but that you can reinforce that what you said, because you've said that name before the Alice box says it, at least the Alice box is confirming what you're saying rather than you just saying, yeah, that's the name I had in my head.
On a counterpoint to that, I have a real issue with, I mean, I don't mind tapping into places and figuring stuff out, but I have a real issue with actually telling people what I'm picking up on, because I really don't want that to influence the investigation, if you know what I mean. And I don't want it to be a case of like they did on Most Haunted or whatever, where the entire investigation would be based on what this random man tells them. And I'm not saying like for 1 minute that I don't believe what comes into my head isn't true, because I have to just go with it. But I really don't want it to be like I say something and then the entire investigation's focused around that, as opposed to potential other evidence we're getting from other things.
But that's why we were, when you'd say a name or anything that you were getting, we would try and then use that to ask a question and get confirmation from like the cat ball or something else. And we would just, anything we were doing, we were trying to get another experiment that we had going on at the same time to confirm what was being said. So we were just trying to prove or disprove or whatever you want to call it. We were just trying to to get a second sort of opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right word, but a second
Something to
piece of
corroborate
confirmation.
it, right?
Yeah. Because if you can get two different things independent of each other to say the same thing or confirm the same thing, the chances are it's more likely to be authentic compared to somebody saying, I've got this name, and then we don't get any confirmation of anything else.
Yeah.
A la Most Haunted.
Yeah, and I think that's potentially just a confidence issue with me, right? Because I'm still new to the mediumship thing, and as I say, it's not because I'm somewhat scientific in the way I want to investigate me going, I'm getting Jane, and you know, I mean, it could
However,
be
if somebody
bollocks.
does get something through, I'd rather somebody say, I've got this name, or I've got this feeling, or something's coming through to me, because it could be that that's how they're trying to present the information is through somebody in the group. So if somebody says, I've got this name, I'd rather somebody say, I've got this name, than go, oh, and then it comes out and you go, I was going to say that name.
I thought of that. Yeah.
And that's why I said to you, get the name out before that Alice box goes off. At least then we can confirm.
And maybe that's the way forward. We just before Christmas we went to an event with some very good friends of ours who run an events company down in the South of England called Everglow Investigations. If anyone wants to go on a ghost hunt, check them out. I will give them a free plug because they've been amazing to us and really helped grow the channel. Anyway, we went on an event with them, and it was a place called Don Styler's in Gosport. It was originally a smallpox isolation hospital. It's now a gym, of all things.
Why not?
And I was there, and I started picking up on some things, and I'm like, do I say it? Don't I say it? And to be fair, one of the team members encouraged me to say it, and I was like, all right, fucking here it is then. And I said, this, and this. She goes, yeah, we've picked up on that before, because they'd been there before. And there was like a young soldier who presented himself as 19, 20 to me. And then she goes, can you tell Mike, or can you show Mike your real age? And like that, I was like 14. And she goes, yeah, that's him. And I was like, feels like he lost his right leg in the First World War, and he was gutted that he couldn't continue to serve, because it was like some weird sort of phantom limb shit I had going on where I could sort of like feel that below the knee it wasn't existing. And then I said to her, do you know where she's from? Or sorry, do you know where he's from? And she goes, yes, it's not from around here. And I went, Essex. And she's like, yeah. So again, this is like stuff I've picked up that they've had come through previously when they've investigated this place, not even on the same night. And I was just like, what the fuck?
So we had it was a really good night.
Yeah.
And it ended up with a bang, because at midnight, which was around the sort of time we were starting to finish, literally the whole of fucking Swindon went up in flames. It looked like there was fireworks everywhere, which there was all over.
And you still can't tell
world.
any difference nowadays.
No, it was just like being in Swindon normally. To be fair. All the gunshots and
it caused £3.50 worth of damage.
Yeah, it did. But so what is the future for ParaMike? What have you got planned for 2023, Mike?
More investigations, as many more as I can get on. Launching a podcast this year, or relaunching a podcast this year, basically because Patsy couldn't really commit to it. So I'm going to go solo for the majority, and it's going to be much the same, me talking about my experiences, going through place by place, as opposed to a podcast where they just sell scary stories or stuff. So this is going to be experiences. A lot of things in the pipeline. I kind of want to get like a website set up and stuff, and just push ParaMike as much as possible, and grow the channel.
So where can people find ParaMike? Because I know when I post stuff up, and this is the thing, I will hold my hands up now, that we use a particular internet provider, a website hosting company, and they allow us to like create social content, and it posts it out to everything at the same time.
Yeah.
So if anybody follows us and all the social media things, you'll see a similar thing on Instagram and whatnot. And your bloody name is not the same on everything.
I know. I know it's confusing.
ParaMike on Twitter is not you. It's somebody
It's not
else.
the real,
I'm sure
it's not the real ParaMike.
No.
No,
So I must
I'll
remember to keep changing it. But
I'll hold my hand up that that's my fault though, because obviously ParaMike didn't exist and isn't me. Anyway, ParaMike87 on Twitter. If you would like to follow me there, I don't post anything because I don't like Twitter, but I was bullied into getting it. ParaMike87 on Instagram. If you want to follow me there, I post occasionally, but Instagram's a dying platform, so maybe not. The main one is honestly.
I don't use it that much.
Yeah. ParaMike on Facebook, you can find me. There's a bit more posting on there. You can interact with me, share your experience. The big one is obviously the YouTube channel, ParaMike on YouTube. Yeah. Come over. Hopefully you'll enjoy my content. If you don't, tell me it's bullshit and I'll give you a snarky reply. But yeah, soon to be the ParaMike podcast next, or this, I almost said next year then, this year at some point. I'm not sure when I'm going to launch there, but yeah, the main hub is ParaMike on YouTube. Get over there, get commenting, get subscribing, come and check me out, come and say hi.
If you need any podcast guests, I know two people that'll be up for that.
Possibly. I'll be honest, I don't really want to go down the guest route unless they've been on investigation. Sorry, Ash. Should have come, didn't you, mate?
Saturday. I really did try.
I know.
Really tried to get there.
When Greg told me, I was like, oh, that would have been fucking ace. But
yeah,
it's what it is.
We did try. We were trying for. I was going back and forth to Ash, going all week, going, "You coming? You coming? Come in.
We'll sort something out though. We'll do one.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a collabo or something. Oh, and also the video for everything we've spoken about tonight will be up on my channel sometime in the near future, so you can see that we're not actually talking bullshit and there is evidence of it existing.
Yeah. Cool.
This one, I look forward to watching that. Thanks. Well, it's like you both the guests this week talking about you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Listen, me to sit back and listen to you guys talk was pretty good. So, yeah, cheers for talking about that. I was looking forward to. I was good I couldn't be there, and I was good to hear that you had some stuff happen.
We'll definitely arrange something though. As I say, we'll do a big collaboration or a collaboration, right?
Got Ash's basement. You can see how fucking weird that is.
Yeah, that place looks fucking sketchy as hell.
It is proper weird. It's like Blair Witch Project.
I was down there again last Thursday doing some stuff, and we didn't get much happen, but it's just weird being down.
It is a weird place. Loads of little low-ceilinged rooms that appear to have no purpose with step ladders in. It's just weird. Very weird. But yeah, so yeah, thank you very much, Mike, and we will speak to you soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Pursuit of the Paranormal with Ash and Greg.